Time now to talk about the NFC West, and I'll start off with the Arizona Cardinals, who started off like gangbusters in 2012. They were hot, they were undefeated, they had beaten the New England Patriots. They were looking like a real surprise team for 2012, and then reality kind of set in. Their offense was boo-boo all year. The quarterback play was terrible, regardless of who was at the helm. It didn't matter, and they just fell apart for the rest of the season. Wisenhunt's gone. The organization, I think, made a decent decision to bring in Bruce Arians to be their new head coach. When you look at this team, they're really kind of, unfortunately for them, the fourth team in a three-team division. And that's just the way it is. Now, that doesn't mean that Arizona can't come up and surprise some people. They have a solid defensive unit that they've added to. But let's be realistic here. Right now, if you're putting money on teams in this division, the team that's going to get the least action, the least play, and the least positive press is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. Now on offense, instead of drafting their quarterback of the future early, they decided to go into the trade market, gave up very little to nothing to go get Carson Palmer, somebody who on the surface seems to fit Bruce Arians' system very well. So this is going to be a team that will, at least if anything else, with Fitzgerald and Michael Floyd on the outside, be able to move the ball in the passing game as long as that offensive line can protect Carson Palmer. Because he's a statue back there, and he doesn't have the greatest health history in recent years. That O-line in Arizona, which itself doesn't have a great history in recent years, needs to do a better job of protecting the quarterback. That's part of the reason why they went out and drafted Jonathan Cooper 7th overall. You make a big gamble when you take a guard 7th. The problem is he's got a broken leg, so now he's on injured reserve. Oopsie daisies. Other problem when you're trying to protect a quarterback and you're trying to help your offensive line, you're trying to help your wide receivers get open. You do that with a running game that keeps defenses honest. Well, as of right now, it sure as hell doesn't look like the Arizona Cardinals have any type of running game that's going to keep anybody honest. I don't know if Mendenhall is going to start the season as a running back. I'm assuming he will. Ryan Williams is probably going to get a fair number of carries. I wouldn't be surprised at this point, frankly, to see either Ellington or Stephon Taylor be the guy that ends up being the feature back by the end of the year. The bottom line is that's not very good necessarily. So that's going to be, I think, a bugaboo and a problem potentially for this Arizona Cardinals team all year. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, again, this 3-4 unit is pretty good. And they've been pretty good the past few years. Not great, not overwhelmingly awesome, but there's talent there. Guys like Calais Campbell, those type of guys. Darrell Washington, even though I believe he suspended the first few games of the year. Obviously, Patrick Peterson's an absolute stud. And they went into the draft this year, the Cardinals did. Even though they brought in an offensive coach, they spent a bunch of their picks on the defensive side of the football, especially early. The picks on guys such as Kevin Minter and Alex Okafor and Tyrann Mathieu. That's a lot of investment into a defense that already had some youth and some talent on there. This is a unit that has the potential to be able to win a few games for the Arizona Cardinals this year. I don't think this team is going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be very good. I think somewhere right around 6 to maybe 7 wins in that tough-ass NFC West, you would have to consider it for the Arizona Cardinals to be a really good year. If the Cardinals have any delusions or any thoughts or any hopes of trying to make the playoffs, they've got a brutal stretch right kind of smack dab in the middle of the heart of their schedule. That's going to determine whether they're pretenders or whether they're legitimate, at least playoff contenders. Week 6 at San Francisco, Week 4 at home against Seattle, Week 8 at home against Atlanta, Week 10 after a bye at home against Houston. So you've got a stretch there where they've got both Atlanta and Houston at home, two non-division opponents, and then they've got to go first to San Francisco, and then they're at home with Seattle. If Arizona can manage to navigate that 4-game stretch of schedule in a fashion of 2-2 or even 3-1, heaven forbid, then you're looking at a team that is definitely a surprise contender in the NFC West. I don't think that's going to happen. They'll probably either lose all 4 of those games or maybe just win 1 of them. And like I said before, win 6, maybe 7 games in the 2013 season, which is unfortunate for Arizona because they're going to win just enough to be completely out of the Jadeveon Clowney, Teddy Bridgewater sweepstakes. What are they going to do, take Johnny Manziel?